In the last 2 or 3 years, people's opinions about pixels are divided into 2 categories. The first category, they love the UI and software of pixels and find its AI capabilities useful. The second category, which is more in number, says I respect the pixel software, its photography is also great, but its AI feature is not really a game changer, and it is in other phones in different ways. Hardware is also important to me, so Pixel is not my first choice. But this year is a little different in my opinion. We didn't have Windows and iPhone 9. Let's see if it was a good number or not. So, let's the video. Let's start with the design, which has changed a lot. The first change that can be seen is the strongly protruding and capsule-shaped camera frame. If we ignore the weak weight balance and the strangeness of holding it horizontally, it's beautiful. Really beautiful. The frame of the phone and the camera are both aluminum, shiny, and completely flat, which is a good choice in terms of the beauty of the design. But it is a fingerprint magnet and doesn't have good resistance, and the feeling of the matte frame is much better. The corners of the phone are completely rounded and the overall design is very beautiful and minimal. In the basic model, it is comfortable too, but in the XL model, its weight and poor balance can be felt. On the front panel, the IDs are the same on all sides, and a giant selfie camera is placed on the top. Overall, the screen-to-body ratio is not high, but it feels good. As expected, the back and front panels are protected by Gorilla Glass Victus 2. I would have liked to see Gorilla Glass Armor, but Google is not so generous. As you can see, the screen specifications are flagship, and as expected, it has high sharpness and black depth and accurate colors. Like last year, Google called it Super Actua Display, but in this version, its brightness reached 3000 nits. Yes, you don't reach these numbers under normal condition, but I can assure you that under the sunlight, the content is quite clear. The speakers are also excellent. The sound is not very loud, but it is sharp and of high quality, and has a little bass too. This year's fingerprint sensor has finally become ultrasonic, which means it works even with wet hands and is much faster. The battery is not surprising, 5050 mAh, and doesn't need to be charged for a day in semi-heavy use. There is no charger in the box and it supports 37-watt charging and it takes 70 minutes to fully charge. It's just normal. Tensor G4 along with 16GB of RAM and UFS 3.1 memory makes up the Pixel 9 Pro hardware. As expected in terms of raw performance, it can compete with the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 processor, which also fails there. UFS 3.1 is not really good at this price too. However, in games, heavy tasks and UI, it is smooth and has good performance. But you will feel that it is not as fast as other flagships. In a few years, you will probably not be very satisfied with its performance and it will get hot in heavy use. But its strength is its powerful NPU, which has made many AI tasks to process on device and very fast, unlike last year. This is why there is a lot of RAM. Well, you might say that its features are just gimmicks. I agreed last year, but not now. First, Gemini is included in almost all Google apps. For example, you want to write a work email? Gemini writes for you with the tone and subject you want, and it works really well. At least it increases your speed. If you want to recognize a flower you saw, just point your camera at it. The screenshots are now in a separate app, and you can find the one you want with a simple prompt. In general, Gemini is no longer just an app or a website, but like Windows Copilot, it is integrated into the entire UI. It even does the work of Google Assistant, but you still have it separately. I don't know why. After buying Pixel 9 Pro, you have free access to Gemini Advance for 1 year, which includes a feature called Gemini Live. The same AI, only it has a more natural sound. You don't need to press a button to talk, and whenever you start talking, it will be silent by itself. In general, you feel more natural conversation. For example, if you want to cook something, you go step by step with it. And that's awesome. There are other things besides Gemini. Magic Eraser and Magic Editor are now more advanced. Features like reframe have been added, which zoom out the recorded image with AI. And the interesting thing is that these processes are now done in the phone itself, and it is much faster. Of course, your internet must be connected. With the Add Me feature, you can take the photo and then give the phone to someone else and be in that photo yourself. The result is not perfect, but it is quite okay. There is a separate app for image generation, which is neither new nor better than others, but the processing is done in the phone itself and is much faster. Something called Reimagine has been added, which allows you to add elements to the photo or change the existing elements. Until a year ago, something like this needed a Photoshop artist. Interestingly, it delivers 3 results, and one of them is usually good. The only big problem it has, I think the lighting is weak. The rear cameras of Pixel 9 Pro have not changed. Laser focus and heat sensor are still there. The thermal sensor now works on human too, but it's completely gimmicky. But the selfie camera is now 42 megapixels and very large. The photos in daylight have very good detail and sharpness, the colors are close to reality, and the dynamic range is very wide, and the contrast is high as always. In general, as always, the photos are processed and ready. In the night mode, the photos are excellent. The detail and dynamic range are very good and natural, and the saturation is just right. Sometimes, in some places, the colors are not accurate, but it can be ignored. In portrait photos, the blurring of the background is natural, the details and the skin tone are very good, but sometimes if you zoom in, the separation of the subject is not done in the best way. Pixel 9 ultra-wide camera is definitely one of the best. Excellent detail and dynamic range, low noise, accurate colors, only the shadows are too dark. 5x zoom photos are good, but not great. Dynamic range and colors are good, but detail and sharpness could be better. Selfies are amazing, and really amazing. Accurate colors, excellent dynamic range, good sharpness, and as always, great face processing. Pixels have also grown in the video recording, but it is very processed and almost uneditable, and sometimes you may not like the output. There is a mode called Video Boost where your video is processed in the Google Cloud. The result is better, but I cannot give it a positive score. If I want to summarize, more efficient AI, camera, and especially excellent selfie camera and overall flagship experience made me able to recommend it to any type of user, unless you're a professional gamer, because 3 years later, maybe you won't be able to run new games with high FPS. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, like it, and if you like my content, subscribe to my channel. Goodbye, see you next video.